I'm sure our audience loves hearing that. What's up? Welcome everybody back to another edition of Chairgatin. I'm your host once again, Rattlesnake, coming at you live from Austin, Texas. I'm joined once again by my co-host Dakota Drake. Dakota, what are we talking about today?
Oh man, I don't know if y'all can tell, but I think it's a little name called Hendrick, and it's the little engine that could all four in the top four today. It was dominance. Let's get it, dude.
Let's get it.
What's up? It's Chairgatin coming at you live.
Hello, come right in. Rock, flag, and eagle.
All right, here we are. No comments coming in yet, so hopefully everything.
Oh shit, give it time.
Yeah. Either Jacob or Nathan will be here to comment. So we were planning this episode of just to recap the race, and essentially all that means at this point is just let's just talk about Hendrick, because we are all just living in a Hendrick world. If you can't tell, we're decked out in Hendrick gear. I have the Chase Elliott hat and the Chase Elliott shirt. Dakota has the old school Jeff Gordon hat with the Scum shirt, and Scum pretty much is Hendrick, so we figured that'll work as well. Yeah, my wife is a Chase Elliott fan, so here I am wearing the Chase Elliott gear, the stuff I did not
looking like a total poser. Total poser.
I know.
Chase
I really
Elliott
am.
Fans, get them.
Yeah. So Dakota, what do you think of the race?
Dude, man, where do we start? I mean, besides Hendrick, there were some good feel-good stories that we could get to and some not-so-feel-good stories that we'll get down to. But, here we are again talking about Larson's race to lose, sweeping stages, and he's the stage leader now of the season. And, I mean, even Fox was like, my pick's Larson, my pick's Larson. It was
every single one of them.
It was quite funny because, like, they'll always pick somebody in six. Like, they ain't winning. But that made me laugh. But then it was like, dude, like, how's Larson going to lose this? And then they're like, pit road woes. And the 48 wins off pit road and never lets up. I literally, like, when we got to, like, 50, 40 to go, I said, Bowman's about to walk off of this thing, dude. And, like, almost like Richmond, I was like, here he goes, just snags another win. Now, it's cool for Bowman in the 48 at Dover. I love that. Hendrick's top four pretty much all day. What really had me was the 9 failing pre-race tech. How many fucking races are we going to do here where the 9 team just fails tech and they're like, he's going to start back. I feel like after like multiple races, there should be some bigger fines there.
That's a good discussion.
I got some questions on that.
That's a good discussion as well because, where do we draw the line? It does seem weird that –
Does it even fucking matter?
Starting from the back sucks. I get it. Like, it ruins your chance. But, granted, he finished
I think
third.
He was like P6
so clearly
at the end of stage 1.
Right, exactly. So clearly it wasn't
he was in the top
bad.
10. Yeah. And they always say, penalty, and sometimes they're like, oh, it was this. Hey, Justin. Sometimes they're like, hey, penalty for this and failed weight or, this arrow thing. Sometimes they're like, failed inspection. And they don't say nothing. And then the 9's going to the back. Okay, cool. And the 9's in the top 10. Like, where do we hey, I'm okay with like green flags pit stop on the green or something. Like, have to make a pass through pit road. Or after your third pre-race tech fail, you lose your crew chief or something. Like, I just seem like there's like, you failed. You're okay. Go to the back. And I agree. Thank you. Just what I was saying, Justin.
I think, it's almost like a 3 strikes in your out policy or something. It's like, how many times are you allowed to do this and get away with it? Because clearly the Chase Elliott team is thinking the same thing. They're like, well, starting from the back isn't hurting them that bad. So
let's cheat all we can. We'll start last.
Right. Why not just keep trying to get away with it? Because if they don't catch us, we're going to win.
They end up finishing P3. And I know we always have that bring 10 things, hope they catch, they catch 3, maybe they don't catch the other 7 deal that everyone likes to joke about. But it's like, dude, when they failed and then all Hendricks was running P4, I was telling Justin, I was like, is this not fishy to anyone? Like, what's going on over there? I mean, they passed post race. Alex Bowman's the winner, but it's like, seems a little like, what's going on over there? Y'all are always failing. It really started at Phoenix last year when we won championship. Fails pre-race inspection is leading, wins the first stage. I'm like, dude, this is horse shit. This whole thing's fucking rigged. But I mean, congrats. They got away with it. They got one all four. I think it was like since 2005, Roush had a top four finish with all their crews, and I think this is the first time since then. You know,
It's the first time Hendrick's ever done it.
Bravo to Hendricks. It's the first time for them. Yeah, I mean, it was a walk-off home run. I mean, nobody else had anything for them. They were just kept swapping around. I mean, how about Alex Bowman taking the win? We had Larson just give up a win, but hey, he's racking off some speed. Chase Elliott a strong third, and Willie B in fourth, an 11th top 10 in a row. Very impressive, like we've talked about Willie B before. I mean, these guys are shining, dude. It's like Hendricks of the old.
Yeah, I think Clint Boyer kind of said it best in the booth when they were talking about how good Hendrick used to be, right? I mean, at one time they had the best drivers pretty much in NASCAR all together. Yeah, you know, they had the 88, you know, it was
kind of weird. It was kind of weird. He went, they got rid of Jimmy Johnson, Jeff, and Jeff was like, Dell Jr. He was like, Dell Jr.
Yeah, so they were, you know, the ultimate, and a lot of teams we've seen where they, you know, destroy. RCR is a really good example. A team that has a great driver, kind of puts everything together at the right time, becomes a really good team, and then struggles for a while afterwards because it's hard to replicate that kind of success. You know, it's almost like things just are there at the right time to work out. But it seems like Hendrick didn't really have that phase that much where they were struggling because they seem to be back on top, like they're dominating again, just like they used to, if not more so. I mean, I'm not saying that these drivers they have now are better than the ones they previously had, but compared to the competition, the equipment they're in, and the, you know, trajectory of these young drivers, I mean, Hendrick is looking stronger than ever.
Dude, I like it. Like, I mean, there was I think it was years ago, but it was like Hendricks wins the first 11 races, and you're like, dude, I'm fucking sick of this in the fucking 48 and 24. Like, I'm tired of seeing them win and this and that. But like now, you know, I think 2 years ago they're like, what's wrong with Hendricks? They don't have it. Nobody can finish in the top 10. They suck dog dick. But now it's like, dude, Hendricks is back, baby. We've talked about it all season, but like they are flexing hard. And I think Gibbs and Penske's like, hey, hold up a second. Whoa. And the Chevys are taking off, man. They look good all day. I mean, I'll take Kevin running top 5 most of the day, giving them, you know, a run for their money, but he could not keep up.
He finished outside the top 5.
Yeah, he slipped back to 6.
I just wanted to remind you that.
Joey Logano came back for the top 5. He had the better tires. I'll give it. Joey looked like shit all day, and he had that good late race run. Good for him. RCR in the top 10. 2 more Chevys.
I think kind of what we mentioned prior also was that guys like Alex Bowman and William Byron, they were young. They seemed very talented, but they were young. They needed some time. And now we've said this the past 2 episodes that this is when we're starting to see the success of those young drivers. And it's like Hendrick really just played all their cards right a few years ago, getting these drivers and just determined to make these drivers work.
It's like they're planting little seeds. Like, yeah, these guys are retiring, but wait till you see this shit.
Right. It's like every other team will pick up these young drivers, and in a couple of years they just drop them because they're like, they're just not doing what we want them to do. It's like, they're not running for a championship because they're a young driver and they need like 2 to 3 years to really excel. Hendrick knew that, I think, and they were like, look, we have the talent in these drivers, but they just need some years under their.
Oh, shit. We're having technical difficulties. You froze. You're freezing, dog. You're freezing. I can't hear you. Hold on. I hear you now.
Right.
You hear me? What happened?
Technical difficulties.
Yeah. It's all good. You were talking and you just went blank, and I was like, oh, shit, is this my stuff? I started clicking buttons.
I don't know. It could be either of us at this point.
Yeah, internet, you know, Elon
So
Musk.
Anyway, my point to that was, sorry for the audio listeners, because y'all have no idea what just happened to your phone. Right. But my point was, every single driver on Hendrick right now, all 4 of them, seem like drivers that will at least be competing for a championship in the future. You know, one has a championship. I could see all 4 of them, though, in the
Dude.
future contending for championships.
What a heavy flex if it was the Final Four and it was the 24-48.
Look, I don't know if that'll ever happen, but if it does, yeah, that would just be.
Oh, dude, you'd
out
have
of
to
this
jump
world.
on top of the merchandise and just like Hendricks, baby. Like, oh, that would be insane. I don't think that would happen, but that would be freaking nuts. How about like Alex Bowman? Whenever he wins, I'm kind of like, hey, cool, Alex Bowman got the win. There it is.
Yeah, my point
And
exactly.
he won, did the classic Johnson burnout on the wall. His crew, I love to see it. The interviews, Thick Rick, and he kind of gets out and he's just like, "Yeah, I'm excited. The 48 won, and we're cool."
It's Alex Bowman. Do you expect anything else?
I know, dude. And I'm sitting there like, dude, I could like this guy because he can drift his Corvette. He wears Vans. He's a little bad boy. Listens to cool music, but he has no personality. Like no personality at all. He's just like, "Oh, I'm excited." Like the fan. He's like the fans, haha. Ricky Bobby, and it was like
that was a
dude,
funny
man.
Ricky Bobby joke.
Yeah, it was funny.
I gotta give it to him because the car was on fire behind him.
Yeah,
And he said something about Tom Cruise, and I was like, "That's pretty good."
Like they panned out, and he literally like wasn't even smiling, and I was like, "Man, maybe he's taking it all in. I don't know, but like I want him to be like, yeah, fuck yeah, we fucking won, fuck everybody." But it was wild, man. I mean, I'm glad he did a burnout at least. And the flames. It made it for a good race version. I'm about up to here with these pit or front stretch interviews. I've been preaching that for years, but let's get back in victory lane and see some actual victory lane celebrations.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, it's Alex Bowman. For whatever reason, when you're on, let's say, Twitter, and you find Alex Bowman fans, it almost always is people with little anime as their like avatar.
Yeah,
I don't know what that is, but there's a NASCAR. There is a sub like fan base within NASCAR Twitter that is just anime fans, where all their profile pictures are anime, and they all seem to love either Chase Elliott or Alex Bowman. I don't understand.
Well, that's like what they just made that
where
shirt.
that came
They
from.
made that Alex Bowman shirt that's like nobody likes us anyway or whatever, and I'm like, I kind of like it, but I'm kind of like,
oh, really? That's actually funny. I like that.
It says a quote. It says Alex Bowman says nobody likes us anyway, but I'm like, dude, if I was like a diehard Alex Bowman fan, I'd be offended. I'd be like, dude, I'm like your biggest fan. What the fuck?
No, but I think you're part of that. Saying like nobody likes us. Like we're this group.
The 48.
I kind of like that. It's like Cleveland sports. They have those shirts that say like Cleveland versus the world or whatever. Or is that Detroit? I can't. One of those shithole cities. They have like a them versus the world, and I'm like, that's kind of cool. Like I like that concept of it's like your group versus everybody else. And that's cool. But I just can't be part of that group because it would be me, like a normal person, and then a bunch of like 12-year-olds with anime things, and I'm just
whole like weird side of Twitter game.
Like cheers, yeah.
Dude, drinking's for losers. Like, oh shit.
But
dude,
good for Alex Bowman.
How about the Chase Elliott fan they kept shouting out in the stands, dude? That guy was like, yes, that's somebody's uncle.
The dude dancing and shit?
Yeah, dude. He was like slapping his buddies and just like, he was roasted all fucking weekend.
Oh, he was awesome. I love that they kept going back to him. I hope he becomes like a meme going forward in NASCAR. Yeah. Also, the guy that's dressed completely like Kyle Busch.
Yeah, dude.
Up by
and then he was showing out. He was doing the bow and shit. And I was like, okay,
he did the bow right before.
Yeah. I know sometimes they'll film people in the stands and they'll just be like,
no, Dover was the Dover fans were getting it, and
it looked packed, man. It looked like a stout crowd for Dover, man.
Packed. I think it was about 30%.
It looked awesome. There were no masks on pit road. Everybody was having a good time.
That's true. Yeah, people were just having a good time.
I loved it. How about, Rick Hendrick looking thick, boy. He's been on that quarantine diet, and Rick is looking like a snack.
Yeah, he is.
I was showing him, I was like, God damn, Rick, where you been, dude?
I mean, I've been hearing about how Dover is supposed to actually be a pretty fun track to go to. It's definitely not one that I've ever had on my list, which on Wednesday we're going to get into. For anybody listening, listen to our Wednesday episode. We're going to go over our top 5 bucket list races, not just tracks. I guess we can do tracks, really, but specifically races. Like
I'm cooking
the Daytona
up some
500,
ideas.
Right? There's multiple Daytona races, but let's be real. It's the Daytona 500.
Which 5 races would the boys like to go to?
Exactly. And so there's plenty for me, I know, because I've only been to like a handful of races, or at least a handful of tracks specifically. So that'll be a really fun episode. But I've been hearing, at least this week, people saying like, hey, Dover's actually a pretty sweet place to go. And are you aware that it's in Delaware, right?
Yeah, I was really surprised in the pre-race. I don't know if you saw. They were like doing this whole like Patriot thing where they were like, the first state succeeded from the British, Delaware. Bitch.
Is that a real thing?
Yeah.
Were they the first state to?
Delaware was the first state of the 13 colonies. I'm not gonna give you a history lesson, but like they did a whole little spiel in the pre-race, like dun 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 dun. Yeah, Justin loves Delaware, and it was like, dude, I'm surprised they're showing this. It's a little.
I'm gonna be honest, and no offense to people from Delaware, which you know what, I'm not worried about offending people from Delaware. There's like 13 of you, so I'll be fine. But to be completely honest, and Dakota, correct me if I'm wrong, it's one of the states that you forget about.
Yeah, I mean, I forget it's a state.
I'm gonna be honest.
I thought it was.
Thank
like a
you.
town.
It's like Rhode Island, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Delaware. I forget their states. Oh, and Maine. I just forgot to even include Maine in the states that I forget about. All those little states up there. I thought Delaware was up by Maine and Rhode Island, and I had to look on a map. It's by like New Jersey and Maryland and shit. And I was like, that's like a whole different place. It's like over by Washington, D.C.
There was one time I had a layover in Philadelphia, and I flew over Dover. Like, I'm just looking out the window, and I'm like, oh, shit, that's a racetrack. And I'm like, oh, fuck. I was like, dude, that's Dover. Like, I was like, that's Dover. Oh, my God.
I just don't understand why that state's not just, like, part of Maryland. It's just, like, Maryland kind of comes down and jolts out. I don't know. My whole point is I would have never thought about Dover being on my list for tracks to go to because it's in a state I forget about. That's even a state. And I'm down to try it out, though.
If somebody was like, hey, man, come up to Dover. I got you. Like, I'll, come with us.
I would go regardless.
Yeah, if somebody had me like an escort and like would kind of hook me up where to go. I meant like pick me up from the airport, motherfucker. Like, I don't know. I wouldn't know where to go. Yeah, I wouldn't know where to go or do anything. But I would go to a Dover race if somebody helped me out.
That's the thing. I would go to if somebody was like, hey, we got these tickets. You should come out. But it's never been a race. It's kind of like Michigan, how everybody really up north hypes up Michigan as like the northern Talladega or Midwest. I don't know what you consider Michigan.
I'm calling it north.
We can just call it Canada at this point, right? I mean, it's pretty much Canada. So it's almost like Dover is seeming to be kind of like that from what I'm hearing. People are like hyping it up, and I'm like, that is a track I've never thought about going to. I forgot it's even in a state that exists. So I'm talking all this shit, but at the end of the day, what I'm saying is I'm down to try it out. Like, I would be willing. I think not this year, but maybe next season or something. Dakota, me and you can figure out a way to get to these like northern tracks, and we can try out something else that we're not used to.
Oh shit! Like I've been talking to a couple friends on Twitter. I might have a couple of things lined up for us down the road.
Yeah, if we could do Michigan and Dover and Pocono, like I feel like even there you see. I feel like NASCAR doesn't ignore those races because they race there. But content creators, fans, stuff like, a lot of us kind of forget about those tracks. Like, I don't mean to sound like a dick, but it's just a lot of the NASCAR fans are in the South. And so we don't go way up there. And I think it'd be kind of cool for us to go up there.
It's a whole thing to do them damn drives. I mean, it's one thing to fly, but it's like, dude,
we're chasing them from Garage Guys.
Hey, shout out Garage Guys. They were rocking it this weekend in Dover, man.
They'll be with me this weekend in Austin, Texas.
Yeah, can't wait. You give them the home tour on the Texas front.
Yeah, exactly. I'll wear my cowboy hat, make them feel good, make them feel at home.
I want to see the shotgun showdown. That's what I want to see.
Well, it's not gonna be a showdown. It'll be an instruction manual.
I got you in my ring, is what I'm saying. I'm putting everything on.
They like to bet. Yeah, I'd like to see that. I think I'm at like plus 2,500.
Yeah, you need to whip out like $1,000 and be like, bitch, let's go.
So I want to mention, other than just Hendrick, is what you mentioned a little bit a second ago, is the Chevy camp. All the Chevy cars.
Dude.
They were performing well. My boy Austin Dillon was performing well until he decided he didn't want to perform well anymore. Very Austin Dillon thing.
What happened right there? Because he was they were running 9
Dude, I have no idea. But that's what happens when you're an Austin Dillon fan. You're watching him, and he's in the top 10, and you're like, oh, hell yeah, dude, he's running clean all day.
Well, for a while, Reddick was 7th, and he was 9th. And I was like, dude, good for them.
Yeah, I know. And they were both running up there.
I didn't even see
I think at one point they were both front. They were right next to each other. I'm like, this is good. They got the teammates, and then they got all the Chevys with them.
Yeah.
I was like, I think they're going to finish really high.
I mean, Suarez as an affiliate finished P9.
That was another one I wanted to bring up.
Yeah.
Where the hell did that come from, Daniel?
Dude, that strategy literally worked out. And, I mean, we can get into the package here in a minute, but, like, I think this was one of the better Dover races we've seen in the last couple years. It was kind of like track position really mattered, but there was guys kind of coming to the field, kind of going. But, like, some guys didn't hold on the old tires, and some guys did. Reddick with the 8th. Hamlin didn't go nowhere with his new tires up to 7th. Cole Custer came through for P10, was just really what he needed for his shitty-ass season. Suarez with the P9, Reddick P8. Like, that's an RCR camp right there. Good for Suarez. Reddick is – when Reddick can, like, kind of just get some old good tire runs, like, he can wheel it, man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what happened to Austin. He was up in the top 10 late. I really like that Huck Fishing scheme. That car looked good.
Did you? I think the Pink team, I like the sponsorship. I even went to the website and they had Austin Dillon like on the front page and stuff. And I was like, that's cool. You know, and I was like, I might buy some shit right now, honestly.
Yeah.
And it was like, here's Austin Dillon's favorite, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay. So I like the sponsorship. I just thought it was kind of boring. I thought it was a little plain. For such a cool sponsorship, I almost want to see something more like he had with that, like, PFG fishing.
You remember that one? The real tree, like water,
real tree
aquatic camo
yeah,
thing? That shit looked good. They ran that at Bristol.
Yeah, that would have been something like that. I was like, I like.
Speaking of the Chevy camp, man, finally saw some life of Kurt Busch. I know he ended up P13.
I know, right?
He was up to P5 at one point in the second stage, I think, early third stage. And it was like, dude, Kurt, yes, like you needed this run. I know he didn't get the finish really, but P13 is good for them at this point.
Yeah, he was running surprisingly well. He's been completely irrelevant all season. I thought the same thing. But one I think we have to mention, especially, you know, this we got to bring it up because we mention him all the time. I always talk shit. Bubba Wallace
was scrapping in P8 for a minute. I
think he's about to finish with his first top 10 finish for this season on the new team. And I was like, I'm going to have to bite my tongue, go back. You know, I've been saying I don't think he'll ever get a top 10 finish this whole season unless it's like a Daytona or Talladega. But when he was running up there, I was like, shit, I'm going to have to say I fucked up.
Well, I thought too, because I was thinking he was running P10 with 10 to go, and Custer was coming, and I was like, how hard is he gonna race Custer for this P10? Is he gonna fuck it up and hit the wall or something? Bring out caution? Like I was like, but I guess he fell back to P11.
Well, he finished 11. Yeah,
he finished. It was just great for them. And
I actually respected his driving a lot more in this race because I thought the same thing when Joey Logano was going for that pass. When Joey Logano was on his tear, you know, looking towards the end, looking like he actually might catch up to the Hendrick team. Joey Logano passes him. And when he's coming up behind him, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, what's he going to do? Like, what is Bubba going to do some stupid late block? Yeah, exactly. I was worried about that, but he didn't. He was like, he's got the momentum, you know, whatever. And Bubba ended up finishing 11. He didn't make any sloppy late blocks. Everything seemed pretty clean on his end, and he drove pretty well. I know he didn't get that top 10 finish, but I got to say I respect the way he was driving, even though he didn't get that top 10 finish. I think he drove fairly well. I don't even think
this is one of his better tracks. I mean,
that's why I was surprised.
They did do the strategy there on staying out, which played off pretty good for him. But it's like, okay, Bubba, you know, these are the runs you need to build off of.
Right, exactly.
Like, get these top 12s, top 13s, whatever. You get a P9, I don't care. But it's like, stop screwing up. Stop making dumb choices.
If he can start finishing around top 10, people will start to respect him a lot more and be like, okay, maybe we were wrong. You know, maybe he actually can do this. So I would be one of those people, in fact.
Before that strat, he was running like P20, P19, about where he's running every week. And I saw like 3 or 4 different Bubba commercials every freaking commercial break.
Right. Well,
I was like, why are we seeing this dude on commercial right now? And I know why, but I was like this dude's running P20, dude. But hey, good for them. Good for the McDonald's team. Ross Chastain finished about where he does every freaking week. In like P15. It was kind of like, man, who are some big losers? Brad K ran good. Like he kept kind of seeming getting loose into every fucking body in turn 1 and 2. And Chris Buescher, man. Chris Buescher was really strong in the first half of this race. He ran all the way up to 5th. I was like,
I know. What happened? I was like,
Buescher's got that speed today. Ends up P17.
That was really disappointing because didn't didn't Dale in the last episode really hype up Chris Buescher for this race as well?
I don't remember. Oh yeah, Dale Earnhardt. Yeah, man.
I'm pretty sure he was hyping up Chris Buescher and saying like, "Oh, he'll come through." And I was like, I'd love to be surprised because he's from Texas. And so when he was running around the top 5, I was like, "Oh shit!" Like, maybe Chris Buescher is going to do it. But yeah, him finishing, just above top 20. I was like, dude, that's so disappointing.
They opened like a motherfucker, but can't close.
Right.
Who really fucked the football here was the 19 team. Knock it home run last week, and then we're totally irrelevant
Did you say
today.
Fuck the football? Is that a thing? There's no way that's a saying.
Well, it is now. So the 19 team just really screwed the pooch on this one and missed the mark. I think it was that ugly ass potato salad on the side of the car. To start on pole and in P19 with such a dominant team they can be, it's kind of weird. Like, they were irrelevant. I know he got some nose damage on pit road or something.
Yeah, so he got some nose damage. I think.
But he was 13th when he got the nose damage.
I think that probably affected his aero a lot. But it was weird. I would say he was the biggest loser for this race because everyone picked him as the lock.
Oh, yeah. Dude,
everybody on Fox,
last
I picked
week
him as my lock.
We were talking about picks. Yeah, the 19 car.
Everybody, because he's been on a tear. He has 3 wins. He won last week, and it's Dover, which is one of his best tracks. So everybody was like, well, it has to work out. I
put money on the 19 car. Screwed me entirely.
Well, yeah, you can't put money on it because the odds aren't good enough. Yeah. Anyway, I think he was the biggest loser of it. And something was wrong from the get-go. Like you said, even when he got the damage, he was 13. So I think something was wrong from the get-go. I think they just
missed it. They just missed it. Another team that screwed the pooch, ready completely. I was about to say Matt DiBenedetto and Christopher Bell were totally irrelevant. I saw him get lapped, but I expected those cars to maybe be top 15, top 10, up there scrapping. I saw a 21 get lapped a couple times. I never even saw the 20 today. I think it was running the yellow Stanley car or something, but I never even saw him.
Christopher Bell was in our last episode was my wild card pick, and Dale I think picked him as the lock of the week. In fact, I mean Christopher Bell we were hyping up big time.
Gibbs.
Because it was kind of like I was saying Truex is a lock of the week just because it's so likely. But as Dale was mentioning, it's like, well, if you're betting, Christopher Bell would be the better pick because of the odds, or it's a way better payout. And so everybody was kind of hyping up Christopher Bell. Kyle Larson, obviously, we're always thinking it's going to be pretty good. And obviously he performed well. But I would say, Martin Truex Jr. is probably the biggest loser this race. And then Christopher Bell would probably be right after him, in my opinion.
It was just totally weird how, he didn't even give him a turn, but I wasn't disappointed with Toyota. Oh wow!
Yeah, I think they just missed. I think you just missed my whole spiel about Bubba. You would have loved it. I finally gave some compliments to Bubba. So
speaking of LTC, man, they got their boy Parv over there, the Busch fan. I guess they had some engine woes, and it was lap 30, they were blowing up or dropped a cylinder or something. Took it to the garage. They came back out there and pretty much tested. He gained 10 positions just running laps with cars failing and blowing up and smacking walls. The 18 car went from 37th to 27th. I mean, that's some points that could be needed down the line.
Yeah, and they mentioned that. Yeah, they mentioned that in the broadcast. And we were talking about, losers of the week. Kyle Busch is a winner, in my opinion, for going back out there and doing what Kyle Busch does and making up all that time. They said he was just off the lead lap time. He was catching up. He was running.
They said he was 2/10 off the leader's speed.
Exactly. There you go. He was running.
To my eyes, that's just hey, we're 50 laps down, whatever. Let's go out here and pretty much do an open test session for the fall race. Or do they have 2 dates this year at Dover? I don't even know.
That's a good question.
I can't remember. I don't know.
I can't either.
If anything, it's an open test session pretty much is what you're getting. That's free practice. And we all know. Well, I guess we got 2 of them, but god dang, dude. The Stewart-Haas, empire just crumbling every week. Eric Almirola finally having some speed and still gets plagued by the Black Pearl. There it is, no fault date. Is Eric Almirola with that tire slam, dude? That was a big hit, But when he got out and was like, oh, God, Jesus.
Yeah, holy shit.
I was like, oh, fuck. He's
that was way worse than I thought. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they replayed it, dude. I mean, you're diving in.
It really did.
They always talk about the G-force diving in the corners, and it snaps.
When they replayed it and
Yeah.
it showed him hitting the wall, I was like, whoa, that actually was surprisingly
it was a hard lick, dude. And I hated it for him.
I think Clinton even said he probably got the wind knocked out of him because of the force. Yeah, I would say that is a good point right here. The concern for the back issues because he broke his back. Yeah, so that could be a concern. Justin said that he thinks Eric Almirola is the biggest loser of the day. I disagree. I'm going to stick with my guns and say that Martin Truex Jr. was the biggest loser of the day just because everybody picked him to be the winner. And so if you're even outside the top 10 at that point, you're a big loser. He finished way worse than that. Eric Almirola did what Eric Almirola has been doing all season.
Yeah,
it's
almost like I think this thing's gonna go all the way to the end. Like it's just the 10 cars. This year's over, man.
It's almost cursed. Yeah,
it is a black.
That's why I wouldn't say he's the biggest loser, just because it's like, what's new? I mean, this keeps happening.
I hate it's like if he was running like 25th and that happened, they'd be like, man, that was a hard lick. But he was up in like 10th, and then like he was
he was running well,
15th, having a good day. Like maybe get some points out of this and that hard lick. Another one, rookie mistakes. Chase Briscoe was up in the top 15, and then he falls back a little. And I think that was just a rookie being a rookie. The leader's there, and I don't know if the tire was going down or he just lost it one. Slams it in the wall. He finishes like P35. Just a real 35. Shitty day. Only had 37 cars in the race. I didn't even know that one. But there was a couple cautions. It was a entertaining Dover race, I'd say. I was pleased with the whole thing. Never once was I like, oh, fuck this, I'm falling asleep. But there were some definitely goods and bads from this race that I saw.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was entertained throughout pretty much the entire race. It's Fox Sports, so they're not going to get all the best stuff. So you are going to miss some action there. But overall, I think it was a pretty good race. I think just the main thing of this entire race is Hendrick's dominance. Yes, I think that's the biggest takeaway is holy shit. It's just Hendrick is almost in a league of their own at this point.
Well, that's the thing is like we had a Toyota dominate last week, had Chevys all up front this week. Is like next week who knows what we'll have at the race.
That's true.
It's a total unknown. I think I know what number car will probably be leading. I think it's on our screen right now. But there was only one Toyota in the top 10 today. That's kind of concerning. I mean, I know they only got a few cars, but they did have some woes. Chevy, man, it's good to see Chevy out here kicking ass. I know I got.
Well, and who would have thought of the Hendrick lineup? With Chase Elliott, William Byron, Kyle Larson. That Alex Bowman was going to be the first one on the team to get multiple wins.
Yeah,
he's the only second driver in NASCAR right now to have more than one win. Yeah. I mean, I've always known Alex Bowman's good. He's a 2-win kind of guy, maybe. But right now, it's Martin Truex Jr. with 3 wins and Alex Bowman with 2 wins.
And that's one thing you see how Larson's dominating so many races and then not getting the dub is like, okay, that's cool and all, but with the way this playoff format goes and everything is if we go through these rounds and Larson keeps choking some wins like this, well, those guys that get wins are going to go on. And those guys are going to advance, say go to Phoenix for the Final Four.
Yes.
And Larson won't. I'm not saying this is going to continue forever. Larson's going to rack off some wins, but
I assume
it's
so.
like,
you have a good point.
You can't keep doing that.
With how the playoff system is. Yeah, it's not the chase anymore. So you got to get the wins. I don't want to. It sounds bad, but he is kind of falling in line with Denny Hamlin, with a guy that just keeps running up in the top 5 and is not pulling out the wins. Obviously, Larson has a win, so that's good. He's secured himself, but he's kind of fallen into that same stage with Hamlin. 2 guys running up front. It's like them and Martin Truex Jr. that are always running up front. The difference is Truex is getting the wins, right? He has 3 victories. I mean, he's doing it. So it is a little bit concerning for Larson fans out there that he's not finishing these things when he probably should be. That being said, I mean, Alex Bowman, you got to give it to the pit crew for today. I mean, it really came down to that.
Well, and Fox said they had the fastest pit stop all season, and I was kind of like, damn, like I didn't know that was the thing. Like,
I mean, on his radio, on his radio after he crossed the checkered, he said, like, this win was all y'all. Like, this wasn't me. This was y'all. And he's right. Like, it really was. That's why he won. I mean, obviously, he had to finish the race. You know, I'm not saying it's not only him, but yeah, it was the pit crew. I mean, they got the win, and that's one of my concerns moving forward with, you know, NASCAR limiting the importance of pit strategy, essentially. That's what concerns me is NASCAR's like the only racing series where you see shit like this happen, where pit strategy wins races. You know,
right?
How quick you can get in and get out will win a race.
Yeah. Well, like Larson said in his interview, was that we were all kind of the same speed. It was about track position, and they got me off pit road, and I couldn't get him. Like, he had clean air, and he pulled away, and I was like, Dominic, I think he led like 260 something laps, dominated the race, and then couldn't catch the guy that beat him off pit road. Like you were saying with the teamwork, that's one thing with the one lug coming up, is like we've talked about who can get around the car, who can get one lug fast, whatever. But it's like, yeah, man, the pit crews do not get the credit. That was one thing. I wish we had more emphasis on pit crews. Like, I want to know their names. I want to know what they're doing. Who's training?
That's true. Like, who's the best?
Yeah, football teams, when they get traded around, we don't hear about that. There's whatever, whoever's on whoever's team.
That would be actually kind of cool to be like, Kyle Busch, his team just picked up this tire changer from this guy from this other team.
Yeah,
and he's been tearing it up. Shit. That's true. That actually would be kind of entertaining. I don't know if it's only weird fans like us that would like to hear that, but that would be entertaining.
But I mean, I think it'd be cool to be like, so and so's got, they just picked up this guy, or he's been really slow on the left rear stop, so he got cut. Or hey, they're scouting this guy from this college. He's gonna be real hot shit on the tire change.
Yeah, there's this guy from Arco that they're gonna pull up. Yeah, he's incredible. Yeah,
dude, have you seen the Xfinity training program, bro?
Right. Yeah. That would actually be really cool.
All that stuff is like under the wraps. Like, they don't even
because that happens.
Bring it up.
That definitely happens. You know, they have to make sure they have the best.
I remember I think it was Fox tried doing like a pit crew member of the week kind of bullshit, and they were just like, hey, he went to this college and played on this team, and he does pit crew now.
When they started getting the like college football players.
Yeah, and that was all they did. But like, I was like, dude,
it was what, like 2 years ago or something?
Yeah, we should be hearing this every week. I want to be like, hey, our roster for next year is this.
I remember that was a couple seasons ago. They picked out a few teams. Austin Dillon's team was one of them, where they're picking up these ex-college football players that didn't make it to the NFL. And it's a feel-good story. It was really cool. Yeah. I liked it. I mean, I was really entertained, and I got to meet those guys actually on his team. And so it was really cool.
I'd like to, or I know NASCAR's issuing the pit guns, but it's like, I want to know what guns they're using, what jack manufacturer. The gas cans, like, or so-and-so's got new cleats today or new shoes. Like, what I want to hear just as much about the pit crew as I am the driver. I know we're all dedicated to the car and the driver or whatever. Or like, hey, they just got this new car chief dude. He graduated from so and the motherfucker's got a calculator that is faster than shit.
Yeah, because I mean, what if they were hyping up stuff like that though?
Yeah.
About like Alex Bowman's team today, and then that shit happens. That would have been like the biggest story.
We would have been like,
holy shit, they paid off. Like, they had this strategy going into it. They had these dudes on the team that are supposed to be incredible, and then it all paid off. Yeah, it would be, I think, pretty entertaining to get to hear more stuff like that.
Also, another thing is, like, how about the team swapping around? I know it's different. The card numbers just changed really, but it's like the 48 back in Victory Lane at Dover, Jimmy's playground. But it's like the 48's already racked off 2 wins when they ain't won in 3 years. And it's like, with Bowman. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Who would have guessed?
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, the 48, man. The Mile the Monster gets to keep that car in its clutches.
That was one thing I was like, wow, I guess, they were just kind of like, hey, we left it. Jimmy, shout out Jimmy.
They saved
like,
money.
The 48 was raced. It's like, hey.
Yeah, the guy that decided to put it up there was like, I told y'all.
Yeah. Hey, you could have put your money here.
Exactly. I think next season I'm just gonna we'll start to do that. Like whatever car they're holding. I mean I thought it was a really entertaining race for Dover. It wasn't the most entertaining race we've had all season. I don't think it was the most boring race we've had all season.
I think it's another check mark for the 750 package. Another dub for the 750 package. Really put on a show today.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Cars were sliding. Cars were everywhere. I mean, I liked what I saw.
Yeah, I think most people did when I was, reading what people had to say. It seemed like most people were entertained. Like I said, it wasn't the best race all season, but it was far from the worst. And in terms of a Dover race, I think it was really good.
Yeah. There was they kept highlighting a couple bumper runs, Brad getting loose. Did you see Denny move Ryan Blaney out of the wall? Wait, that's another one. Ryan Blaney was up in like the top 3 when all of a sudden he gets a flat right front tire, has to pit. Like, I kind of hated it for them because he was having a good day, but it was like.
I think he finished P12, right?
Yeah, somewhere right there.
Sure.
Right behind
I think
Bubba.
he finished right behind Bubba. That's why I was like, ooh, if he catches up to Bubba, they're best friends. What's going to happen?
Yeah. But, I mean, he had a good run, still top 12. But, man, I just was good to see cars getting loose and sliding all over the place.
Yeah, and I'll be interested to see, obviously, in the Wednesday episode, we can talk about this, but the changes in the point standings because Alex Bowman is 14th. And so I'm thinking he's going to move up pretty solid.
Well, it always, like, it's not confusing because, like, I get it. But they'll be like, the point standings. And then they'll be like, the playoff standings. And it's like, okay, like, I get, like, that's where if the playoffs started now, this is what it would look like. But then they're like, and the point standings. It's like, that's what it is currently. But when the playoffs start, we're going to switch the shit all around.
I'm going to be honest. It is confusing. I think most people think it's confusing, which is
I feel like with new fans, they're probably like, what the
fuck is this? Yeah, which that was going to be my point. It's a problem because we have new fans coming in. And when you have something very confusing, it kind of makes people back up and go like, I don't know. This is a little much. Like, I don't know if I want to be part of this.
Yeah. I mean, we'll definitely get really confused when the All-Star pops up.
Yeah.
Sir Bones is sleeper, but no one is like, yeah. Dude,
maybe.
I can totally see that. He was in Final 8 last year. Totally like,
yeah.
If something happens, especially the way he's running this year, he's going to have some points.
I was just going to say, he technically is running like in the top 4 drivers right now.
Yeah.
In my opinion,
totally.
He has 2 wins. I mean, if we're going off wins, which is what the playoffs are based on, he's one of the best.
I think at this point, especially, I know we're going to have some wild road courses coming up, and I think you'll see your usual players up front at those. Maybe some guys squeak out some good top 10s, but you're going to start to see now is the point we're going to start seeing those guys get multiple wins. Guys already have wins. Maybe the 11 and 4 get a win here and there, the 9. But it's like some guys are going to start racking off multiple wins, and it's going to be who can get them playoff points at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think we only need 10 more guys to get wins to have a top 16 all with a W.
Well, that's what today was 12 races, 10 winners? No.
I said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 6. Yeah, it's 6. So seems right.
Yeah, we got 10. What hell shit? How many more races? We got 14 more races till the playoffs?
Is that right?
Hell, I don't know, dude.
All I know is 6 drivers that haven't got a victory yet. If there's 6 new winners, that would be at least 16 drivers with wins. And at that point, you have to, they're going to have
we got to start doing some math. Yeah.
Right. We're not good at math.
Not when we've been drinking beers, at least.
So I put together a little thing that you might be interested in. It probably doesn't affect you, but it affects people like me and other people that I've talked to. We have friends that live in random parts of the country.
And
granted, there is a NASCAR race in Austin now, so it's. I guess I shouldn't
that honestly fell in your lap. Like, I mean, I know you live close to Coda, but when they're like NASCAR's coming to Coda, you're like, okay,
right? No,
I'll ride my bike there.
Yeah, there was nothing nothing behind it before. It just fell into my lap. So, I live in Austin, and prior to this race coming to Coda, the track up in Fort Worth was the closest one. That's a solid 3 hours away. And then after that, Kansas is 10 hours and Talladega is 12. And anything past that, it's like a 24-hour drive. I mean,
it made me feel so grateful.
Right. And so there's a lot of people like me, a lot of NASCAR fans out there that don't get to live in places that are near tracks or where they can go to a lot of races. Even here, we had 2 races in Texas, and that's most Texans. They only get, 2. They might go to one of them. Whereas if you live where you live, you can go to 1 million. So, being the mathematician that I am, speaking of us doing math, I decided to look at a map, look at where all the tracks are, and kind of pinpoint cities and decide the 10 best cities to live in America if you're a NASCAR fan.
Ooh.
And so I have this list. I've done it.
I like your list.
With math, right? So this is, there's no opinion behind this. This is pure math.
No factual evidence. The numbers are due to change.
Well, when the schedule changes, yeah, actually. So what I did is I broke it down into like 4 different categories. Average distance from NASCAR tracks within 300 miles. So, like Charlotte, you'll have like X amount of tracks that are within the 300 miles, and then you take an average. So you divide that by however many, right? Okay. So I break it down like that, and then I do number of tracks within 300 miles. So they get a score for the number of tracks. And then
you have had some time on your hands.
And then number of races. This is a whole thing.
You're brainstorming on the 9th tee.
This is a whole thing. Just shut up and listen. Then I break it down by number of races, right? So like Charlotte, for instance, gets a lot more races than Atlanta, stuff like that. And then percentage share of fans, which is a thing I found. The statistic survey thing back in 2018. That was the latest year they had it. They do a share of fans. And so I've broken it down, given them each scores for how they rank in each of those 4 categories, and then came out with the conclusion based on pure numbers. So I have the top 10 best cities in America to live if you're a NASCAR fan. If you're somebody like me, and you're like, man, I don't live in a good NASCAR area, I would like to relocate to a good NASCAR area.
I need to get the fuck out of here and get to some NASCAR races. Here
are 10 cities you can live in.
All right. Okay? Is this any order or just 10 to 1?
No, this is you know what? I'll do the bottom, so like 10 up to 1. How about that?
All right.
Okay. So technically it starts at number 8 because there's a couple ties. So it's like the 10th city, but technically they would be number 8 because there's a few ties.
The numbers don't lie.
Nashville, Tennessee. Nashville, Tennessee with a score of 6.75. So I'm giving you my numbers.
Dude, you should go to MIT or something.
I know, I should, right? Or at least teach a lecture on NASCAR statistics. Number 7. Following it up in the Volunteer State, once again, Knoxville, Tennessee.
Ooh, 2 Tennessees right off the bat, dude.
Yep.
I feel like Tennessee is a cool state, period. Yes.
Tennessee is a cool state, and I think it really helps them with the addition of the Nashville race, obviously, because that helped with distance to a track. It helped with adding an extra race.
You can go north or south from Tennessee.
That's another thing. Yeah. So you can go to Talladega, you can go to Atlanta. Charlotte gets a little bit further, but either way, yeah, you can go north and south. Them losing the Kentucky race kind of hurt Tennessee because that was close to Tennessee. True. But adding a Nashville race is even better because now it's just right in their state. Moving on to number 6, Jacksonville, Florida, with a score of 5.5.
Wow.
Jacksonville, Florida. Yeah.
I didn't see that one coming in. I love Jacksonville, man. It's a fun
Jacksonville, Florida. Where they actually really excelled was kind of random, was share of fans. They had a good percentage for share of fans. Apparently, they got a lot of fans in Jacksonville, Florida. And now we have a tie at 5th. So we get 2 placed at 5th. The first one, Richmond, Virginia. Richmond, Virginia with a score of 4.5. I think people forget, I forgot until I looked it up, how many tracks you can drive to if you're in Virginia. It's insane.
You can go north.
There's 2. There's 2 in Virginia. Virginia. Then Charlotte, Darlington, Bristol. Yeah, you can go north. There's Dover. I mean,
I got some buds in Virginia, man. They live like 20 minutes from Martinsville, and they go to quite a bunch of races. I'm like, motherfuckers.
Not to mention the share of fans. Virginia had a shit ton. Like, all of the Virginia area was like covered with. They have a lot of NASCAR fans in Virginia, apparently, which is wild to me. I had no idea. And then tied with them at number 5. Any guesses?
I want to say like Midwest.
You would guess wrong. I'll tell you right now, it's all in the South.
Oh shit, Atlanta,
Georgia. Good guess.
Oh, I'll take a wild guess.
Atlanta, Georgia, tied with Richmond for 5th with a score of 4.5.
I'm in good distance to go to quite a few races.
Yeah, you are. Like I said, these are cities, so it's not just like rural towns. I'm sure there's like towns in the middle of nowhere that are like, the Mecca, right? Because you're just in between everything. This has to be like around 100,000 people minimum to be considered a city, in my opinion. But yeah, Atlanta really excelled in number of tracks in the area, excelled in number of races in the area, and share of fans didn't do quite as well. But those are the areas that Atlanta really excelled in. Number 4, Raleigh, North Carolina. No surprise there. We're starting to hit the North Carolina areas
the
now.
Carolinas.
Yeah, they tear it up. I mean, we shouldn't be surprised there. Yeah, Raleigh, North Carolina coming in at 4th. Makes sense. Number 3, Greenville, South Carolina.
Okay.
They did,
I'm not far from Greenville.
Greenville had a really good area because it's close to all North Carolina, Bristol. You can go into Tennessee, down to Atlanta, and then you can go up north to Virginia to those races as well. So Greenville did really well. And now we're getting into the heavy hitters. There's 2 tied for number 2. This one, I think, will surprise everyone. Roanoke, Virginia.
Wow, the Virginia, man. They're getting 2 towns in this one?
Roanoke, Virginia, tied for 2nd. Best city to live if you're a NASCAR fan. Roanoke, Virginia. Have you ever been to Roanoke, Virginia? I have never even,
I don't think I've been to Roanoke. I've been through Virginia, several times. It's real pretty and everything.
Same.
I'm also
Virginia's very pretty, but
I don't mind coal, so I really don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never spent any time in Roanoke. I never even thought about it. But location-wise, they're in a great location for a lot of races. It's really close to Martinsville, actually, which is something I never knew. It's really, really close to Martinsville. But I think the biggest thing that excelled for them was they were ranked number 1 for share of fans, for share of NASCAR fans. They were ranked right above Charlotte.
How many fucking people live in Roanoke?
Right? They had 32% of NASCAR fans in Roanoke.
Who's doing this damn poll?
Roanoke, Virginia. I don't know what it is, man. I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea. It seems almost made up because it seems wild. Location-wise, it's very good. But the share of the fans, I had no idea. If anybody that listens to this show is from the Roanoke area, I'd love to hear from you because if this is really like a NASCAR mecca, I'm moving there tomorrow. It sounds awesome. Tied for 2nd is Greensboro, North Carolina, another North Carolina location. It's in the Piedmont region, famous for NASCAR. That's old school NASCAR shit. Not really surprising because they're also north of Charlotte. So they're close enough to go to the Virginia races as well, but close enough to go down to Darlington and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they were also high on the share of fans. They were ranked number 3. And number 1.
I'm concerned with who's number 1. Who we got here?
Well, this shouldn't be a surprise. You should guess this. What city?
Charlotte.
Yeah, obviously it's Charlotte. That should have been.
That's where they all fucking live.
That's where they all live. I mean, let's be honest. It's yeah. There's no surprise there. It is where Charlotte is from. If you're a NASCAR fan, that's like trying to work in the film industry and live anywhere other than Hollywood or LA.
Right.
It's like if you want to be in the NASCAR community, you want to be in the NASCAR world, you kind of have to live in Charlotte. I mean, it's the Hollywood.
I almost moved to Mooresville once, man. I was trying to chase a dream, and I almost moved there. It's like I feel like all that area just is NASCAR, and if you ain't with it, then go fuck yourself.
Yeah, I mean it's like Houston and oil. Like if you ever, I lived in Houston, and it's it's a stereotype, but it's true. Like everybody when they get out of college works in oil. Like that whole city is run by oil. I feel like that's how Charlotte is for NASCAR. It's like people just work in NASCAR because it's such a big industry there. So it's banking and NASCAR in Charlotte. That's what you know in Charlotte. So it should come as no surprise that Charlotte was my number 1 city to live if you're a NASCAR fan. I'll just go down the list one more time real quick. Number 1, Charlotte. Number 2, Greensboro, North Carolina. Tied for number 2, Roanoke, Virginia. Number 3, Greenville, South Carolina. Number 4, Raleigh, North Carolina. Number 5, Atlanta, Georgia. Tied at number 5, Richmond, Virginia. Number 6, Jacksonville, Florida. Number 7, Knoxville, Tennessee. And number 8, Nashville, Tennessee. It's 10 cities with 2 ties. So that's what it came out to. If you're from any of those areas, we'd love to hear from you. I'd like to hear what it's like in those areas. It'd be really cool. I know, for instance, Dakota, you're from the Atlanta area. And obviously, the city of Atlanta isn't going to be like, heavily NASCAR, right? Because it's NASCAR. But I'm sure, some of the more rural areas where you're at, there are NASCAR fans. I still
spot some NASCAR swag in the wild.
Right. Yeah, you don't see that around here. So even when we went to that bar in your town and there was like NASCAR shit in the bar, I was like, you don't see that in Texas. Like, that's not a thing.
I can go to several places where it'd be like, dude, let me buy that Kevin hood.
Yeah, see, that's not a thing here. And so I think maybe people that grow up in areas like that actually have NASCAR fans don't really understand. It's like, once you leave those areas, you don't see stuff like that. That's not common. So for our listeners that are like me in areas where NASCAR is not a big thing, there you go. If you want to relocate to a NASCAR area, I just gave you 10 options. Pick one of them. If you're from those areas, love to hear from you. Let me know what it's like, especially if you're from Roanoke, Virginia.
Yeah,
wild. That was the wild card of this whole thing.
I got some buddies from the For the Lead podcast or whatever, the NASCAR podcast. They live up there near Roanoke, and
oh shit,
yeah, and they always talked about like they would drive to this race, drive to that race, and I'd be like, dude, fucking Virginia, like I would never guess, but then when you look at a map, you're like, okay,
it's really weird. I wouldn't have thought. I know one person from Richmond, and he's born and raised diehard NASCAR fan. So apparently it's a thing in Virginia. I've been kind of sleeping on. So we might have to go check out some of these races up in Virginia.
Check out some Virginia races?
Yeah, there's 2 of them. Martinsville would be real fun.
We'll get to that one on Wednesday's episode.
Okay. Oh, shit. Okay. That's a little hype. Yeah, so everybody tune in on Wednesday. We will have a guest. We'll see. What guest? We'll see if the guest actually shows up this time, or we'll have to pull a wild card again, which seems pretty common for us. Which, by the way, if you're watching, half of the guests we have, we ask like that morning if they'll come on because some other guest bailed. So that's how unorganized this shit is.
It's a revolving door of guests that yes or no questions.
Yeah, well, they say yes. They'll say yes weeks in advance because I like to be prepared. And then like day before, they're like, nope, sorry, I'm out. So, it is what it is. But yeah, we'll definitely be here Wednesday.
The show goes on.
Yeah, we'll definitely be here Wednesday unless we're not. Or we'll be here Thursday at that point.
Subject
we'll see.
To change.
Yeah, we'll figure out something, but we'll be here probably Wednesday.
Hey, dude. Big week coming up for you, bro.
Coda, baby. I was going to say, we're going to have a lot to talk about. Coda's coming, and we're going to talk about our bucket list races. It'll be a really good episode. We'll have a guest on, so everybody check that out. And also, everybody go buy Yeti. As you can see in the comments, go buy Yeti. We have a link in the description if you're on YouTube. If you're on Twitter, it is in the bio. There's a link like in our bio. If you're going to buy anything Yeti, click on that link and purchase it through that link. That's the only way you can buy Yeti. Don't ever buy Yeti without that link.
Boom. Yeah. Coldest cups in the game, baby.
Coldest cups in the game. So everybody, thanks for watching. We had a good time at Dover.
Hey, Dover done and done. And we are going to Coda this week. Let's get it, dude.
Are we? Are we going to Coda?
You are, you bitch. Somebody has a career and has to work, motherfucker. Oh. Hey.